What's new today in AI? We are locked tight to one single date, December 9th, 2025. And today, we're dissecting a day that I think historians will likely look back on as a genuine turning point.
Oh, absolutely. This feels like the moment the entire industry really started to reorganize itself.
Exactly. We've got the official birth of the Agentic AI Foundation, this, unified open standard created by direct rivals.
And then on the exact same day, this massive geopolitical reversal.
The U.S. government approving high-end Nvidia H200 chip exports to China.
With a catch, of course.
Yeah.
A very, very big catch.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we take the sources you share with us, we filter out all the noise, and we deliver the actionable knowledge you need. Our mission today is to really extract the definitive insights from what was an incredibly busy, high-stakes day in AI history.
And December 9th confirms it. We've decisively transitioned. We are no longer just in the era of generative chat. We have crossed the line. This is now the era of agentic infrastructure.
Agentic infrastructure.
Yes. Every major announcement today, from the silicon that's powering these models to the standards trying to govern them, it all points to a world preparing for autonomous AI systems.
Okay, that's the perfect frame. Let's start with the pure science, the research coming out of the labs. We saw some remarkably specialized work today.
We did. It's moving beyond just human language, which is fascinating.
Right.
And one of the most interesting pieces was this ArcSieve preprint about astrophysics. Researchers applied a couple of advanced techniques, masked autoencoders, or MAE, and vision transformers, VIT.
To simulated strong lensing images, right.
Fair.
For those who weren't familiar, those are the stunning sort of distorted rings of light you see from massive objects bending space-time.
Exactly, and they're crucial for detecting dark matter. So they were training the AI to classify what underlying dark matter model caused that distortion.
So was it cold dark matter, axion-like?
Or nothing at all.
Yeah.
Just a void.
And the key here is the methodology, the how.
The methodology is everything. They used MAE, which is a self-supervised method. The model learns visual features just by, reconstructing missing parts of an image. No labeled data at first.
So it teaches itself what space looks like, in a sense.
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
And that approach achieved a macro area under the curve, or AUC, of 0.968 for the classification task.
So why does that number 0.968 matter to someone who isn't an astrophysicist?
Because it's a real, tangible improvement over training a model from scratch. It proves that learning those general visual features first gives you a much better, more efficient starting point for these highly specialized scientific tasks. These models are now robust enough for actual observatory pipelines.
And that idea of a reusable, self-supervised model, that translates directly into medicine.
Perfectly. Which brings us to Microsoft Research. They just open-sourced a model called GigaTime.
For cancer research?
Yes, and this is a huge deal. It's a technological move that it tears down a massive economic barrier in precision oncology.
Okay, how so?
GigaTime generates virtual tumor data, these detailed cellular maps you need for targeted treatments, from a standard, cheap $15 tissue slide.
A $15 slide.
And that virtual data is equivalent to a highly specialized, very expensive $550 plus assay.
Wow. That is an unbelievable cost reduction. Something like, what, 97%?
Roughly 97%. Now, the critical question, of course, is quality. And that has to be proven out in clinical trials.
Of course.
But the model was trained on 40 million cells. The goal is to democratize access to this kind of personalized diagnostic insight. For researchers in lower resource settings, this is it's transformative.
Okay, let's shift gears to code generation. Mistral AI dropped DevStral 2.
They did. Their new large code model, plus a smaller 24 billion parameter version, and a new command line tool called Mistral Vibe.
So what's the headline here?
This immediately kicks up the competition in open source coding. DevStral 2, at 123 billion parameters, it sets a new public state-of-the-art. It achieves 72.2% on the SW bench verified set.
And Mistral is claiming a pretty big cost improvement.
Up to a 7 times cost improvement over some closed proprietary rivals. For a big company building software, this gives them a powerful, self-hosted alternative. It gives them leverage.
And one final piece of research, a really interesting conceptual shift from the polymathic AI collaboration.
Yes, Walrus and AION1. These are foundational models trained exclusively on, physics data.
Not web text and images.
No. fluid dynamics, astronomical observations. This is a major philosophical push. They're trying to move past models that just mimic human language and into what they call physics-based models.
So teaching the AI the underlying physical laws.
Exactly. AI-1 was trained on over 200 million astronomical observations. The idea is to let it generalize knowledge across different scientific fields, not just our patterns of speech.
That focus on fundamental rules is a perfect setup for our next topic, how those rules are getting baked into massive enterprise products.
It really is. I mean, December 9th was just dominated by reports from AWS Re.Invent, and the theme was all about new, extremely capable product offerings.
And it's not just one vendor, right?
Not at all. It's about how all the hyperscalers, Google, Microsoft, AWS, are now racing to deliver this next-generation agentic functionality.
Okay, so let's start with AWS and their Nova 2 suite, specifically Nova 2 Omni.
Right. AWS claims it's the industry's first truly unified multimodal model.
Unified meaning it handles text, image, video, and speech all at the same time.
Simultaneously, yes, which is an incredibly hard engineering problem. But the key capability, the thing you need to focus on, is its massive context window. Omni can handle inputs of up to 750,000 words.
750,000 words. That's, what, a dozen novels? Why does an enterprise user need that?
It allows for an unprecedented depth of analysis. You can feed the model an entire year of your company's meeting transcripts, all the engineering docs, all the product videos, all at once.
And it can connect patterns across all of them.
Exactly. It can find subtle operational patterns that a human, or even a smaller model, would totally miss. It's a shift from summarizing snippets to synthesizing entire business domains.
And speaking of synthesis, the biggest product headline, at least in terms of national security, has to be the Pentagon.
Oh yeah, selecting Google Gemini for its GenAI.mil platform.
This feels like a huge moment.
It's a landmark adoption of commercial AI at a vast, sensitive scale. It's going to reach 3 million civilian and military personnel.
And it got the security clearance it needed.
It did. It achieved IL-5 authorization. That's the high security clearance you need for sensitive, unclassified national security data. It shows the DoD is moving fast to modernize using off-the-shelf but secured commercial AI.
Okay, so alongside these huge models, AWS also rolled out 3 new, more specialized agents.
Right. Kiro for software development, the AWS Security Agent, and the AWS DevOps Agent.
And these aren't just tools, are they?
No, they're designed as autonomous systems. They can diagnose, escalate, and sometimes fully resolve problems without a human ever touching them.
Is there any data on how well they work?
The internal data on the DevOps Agent is really telling. It has apparently handled thousands of escalations inside Amazon, and it achieved an estimated root cause identification rate of over 86%.
86%. So routine cloud incidents are just becoming automated.
At the infrastructure level, yes.
But when you give an AI agent that much autonomy, the security risk just explodes.
It does. Which is why Google revealed this plan for a layered safety mechanism in its Chrome agents.
A second AI.
A second dedicated Gemini-based model called the User Alignment Critic. And its only job is to review every single proposed action by the main agent, clicking a link, sending an email before it happens.
And it can veto anything that looks risky.
Exactly. It's an AI policing AI approach. This is a key feature of what you could call the cathedral approach to AI safety. It's closed, it's tightly controlled, and it's vertically integrated by the vendor.
That sets up a really fascinating contrast with the open approach we're going to talk about later. But first, let's pivot to the literal foundation, chips and infrastructure.
And this was an equally huge day, largely because of a major geopolitical pivot.
Let's talk about the reversal of U.S. export controls.
Right. President Trump announced approval for Nvidia to export its high-end H200 AI chips to, quote, approved customers in China.
This reverses the strict controls from the previous administration.
Completely reverses them. But the key detail here is the economic extraction mechanism.
The surcharge.
The approval is conditioned on the U.S. government getting a 25% surcharge of the sales revenue.
So what's the strategic goal there?
It's a fundamental shift. The U.S. government is pivoting away from a policy of, say, absolute technological containment, just blocking sales entirely, to a policy of economic extraction.
So let them have the chips, but make them pay for it.
A lot. They're trying to restore revenue for U.S. chip makers while pulling a massive economic rent from Chinese customers. The calculation seems to be that commerce now outweighs trying to cap China's performance ceiling.
Okay, back in the U.S., AWS unveiled its new custom silicon.
Leading with the Trainium3 UltraServers, built on that cutting-edge 3-nanometer tech.
This custom chip race is really defining cloud economics.
For all the hyperscalers, yes. Trainium3 delivers up to 4.4 times more compute performance.
4.4x.
And, maybe more importantly, roughly 40% better energy efficiency compared to the last generation.
What does that efficiency actually mean for someone listening who runs models on the cloud?
It means direct cost savings and better accessibility. Because the chip is so much more efficient at serving models, what we call inference AWS is betting this makes high-end AI affordable for a much wider range of businesses.
And for general cloud tasks, they launched the new Graviton 5 processors?
Right, they're custom chips for broader workloads. Graviton 5-based instances deliver up to 25% higher performance than the last generation.
So it's about using the right tool for the right job.
It's a heterogeneous computing strategy. Graviton for general tasks, Trainium for the heavy AI lifting. All the major cloud players are doing this. It's essential for protecting their margins.
We also saw AMD making a move to push AI closer to the data source.
With their EPYC embedded 2005 series. Yeah. These are the first Zen 5-based CPUs made specifically for high-performance, low-power edge applications.
So running AI on the device itself.
Exactly. They boast up to 35% higher base frequencies than the competition, which means you can run complex AI directly on an industrial camera or a 5G base station without that high latency trip to the cloud.
And the final infrastructure story really just confirms the dominance of all these high-end chips.
Yeah, a market analysis projected massive growth in advanced packaging for AI chips from 5.6 billion to 53.1 billion by 2030.
53 billion.
That is a staggering compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of over 40%. It just confirms that the complexity of connecting these massive chips is becoming a primary bottleneck, and the market is pricing that specialized tech accordingly.
Okay, let's move to policy and standards, because here is where that protocol war narrative you mentioned becomes explicit.
It really does. OpenAI, Anthropic, and Block co-founded the Agentic AI Foundation, or AAIF, under the Linux Foundation.
Why is this such a historic collaboration? These companies are fierce rivals.
That's why it's a huge development. It creates the vendor-neutral plumbing for the agent era. Anthropic donated its Model Context Protocol, or MCP, which already has 97 million monthly SDK downloads.
So it already has adoption.
Massive adoption. And OpenAI donated its Agents.md specifications.
Yeah.
So the practical upshot is standardization.
Right. So agents from different companies can talk to each other safely.
That's the goal. An Anthropic agent can communicate with an OpenAI agent. They can use the same tools, exchange data. This is the open bazaar philosophy.
Interoperable, open for auditing.
And it's in direct competition with that closed cathedral approach we talk about with Google's critic model.
And that structural conflict is now getting layered with regulatory friction, especially out of Europe.
Right. The EU launched a formal antitrust probe into Google's AI overviews.
And this is about training data.
It's all about training data. Regulators are looking at whether Google abused its search dominance by using publishers' content and YouTube videos to train its AI features without fair compensation.
The stakes here are incredibly high.
Massive. Potential fines could reach 10% of Google's global revenue. That would set a major, very expensive precedent for how AI companies have to treat content globally.
Meanwhile, domestically, President Trump confirmed plans for an executive order.
Yes, establishing a single, unified federal AI regulation. The goal is to preempt and override all the differing state-level AI laws.
The one rule framework.
The one rule framework. It aims to simplify compliance for the tech industry, but it also signals a major shift toward federal centralization of governance.
Which will probably face legal challenges.
Immediate legal challenges from state officials, yes.
And finally, on the policy front, we're seeing a shift from theory to practical security.
Yes. Immersive launched its secure AI validation capability. This offers hands-on, audit-ready proof that a company's workforce can actually govern and defend these agent-based systems.
So it addresses the blind trust risk.
Exactly. When you deploy autonomous agents, you need proof that your human teams can spot hallucinations or prevent data leaks. They validate skills against critical frameworks like the OWASP Top 10 for LLMs. It's about operationalizing compliance.
Okay, let's talk about money. We saw massive capital commitments today.
Mostly driven by geopolitical strategy and the need for that real-time data infrastructure.
And topping that list is Microsoft's commitment to India.
A staggering sum. $17.5 billion over 4 years, from 2026 to 2029.
To advance cloud and AI infrastructure in India.
Yes, it's their largest ever investment in Asia, and it's built squarely on the pillar of sovereignty, meaning data residency, and it includes launching their largest hyperscale region in the country.
Meanwhile, IBM is making a huge play for the data infrastructure to feed these models.
They are announcing a deal to acquire data streaming company Confluent for about $11 billion in enterprise value.
So this is a core infrastructure play.
A crucial one. Confluent's platform is based on Apache Kafka, and it's essential for managing data in motion, the real-time streams of information you need for these big, context-rich AI systems.
So is Kafka really the only way to handle real-time data at this scale?
It has absolutely become the de facto standard in the enterprise. IBM is acquiring a truly indispensable piece of the modern AI pipeline. You just can't run a cutting-edge agent system without it.
We also saw strategic partnerships aiming for deployment at scale.
Yes, Anthropic and Accenture formed a new multi-year Accenture Anthropic business group.
And this is about combining the tech with the people.
Exactly. They plan to train roughly 30,000 Accenture employees on Claude's constitutional AI framework. The goal is to move AI projects from pilot phase into real production, especially in regulated industries like finance and government.
Okay, finally, let's look at enterprise reality. OpenAI published a report on adoption, and the numbers show a pretty profound change in behavior.
They really do. They show a deep integration of AI. Weekly messages in ChatGPT Enterprise are up 8 times annually.
Which is fast.
That's fast, but the real marker is reasoning token consumption. That figure is up 320 times per organization.
320x. Translate that for us. Why is the token increase so much more significant?
Because message volume is just simple chat. Reasoning token consumption shows the models are being used for complex, multi-step, repeatable business processes.
Like code review, regulatory analysis.
Internal operational logic, yes. It confirms AI has moved from a brainstorming tool to handling core, compute-intensive business logic that's deeply integrated into daily work.
And that usage is growing even as companies navigate different approaches to monetization.
Right. New analysis compared citation strategies between Google AI overviews and ChatGPT for holiday shopping.
And they're totally different.
Completely different philosophies. Google AI overviews cite retailers only about 4% of the time. They prioritize reviews. They act like a research tool.
And ChatGPT
Cites retailers about 36% of the time. It prioritizes purchasing intent. It acts like a shopping assistant. They're optimizing for totally different roles in the user journey.
And while this is all happening, Amazon executives are trying to reframe the conversation.
Rhetorically normalizing AI, replacing human headcount. Promoting AI agents as teammates, not tools.
This is a strategic messaging shift.
It's a classic one, aimed at managing friction and, of course, selling high-margin compute. Internal teams at Amazon reportedly replaced 30-person projects with small AI-augmented squads. It just normalizes the idea of AI agents filling human roles.
Okay, before we close out, a few tools and numbers for you to take away.
First, for tools you can use today, check out the OpenAI AI Foundations course. It's a new certification delivered via ChatGPT itself, offering practical, verifiable AI literacy training.
And for developers,
The new Mistral Vibe CLI. It's an open-source command-line coding assistant that lets you automate tasks using natural language right in your terminal.
now for the numbers of the day.
We have $17.5 billion. That's Microsoft's largest ever investment in Asia, committed to India over 4 years for AI infrastructure and cloud sovereignty.
And the second number?
0.968. That's the macro AUC score achieved by that masked autoencoder research in classifying dark matter. It shows how self-supervised learning is now robust enough to accelerate fundamental science.
So what does this all mean? The AI world, it seems, has split into two competing philosophies.
On one side, you have this massive unified effort to create open, interoperable standards for agentic AI, the AAIF. That's the bizarre philosophy. Open and auditable.
And on the other,
You have the vertically integrated closed ecosystems from giants like Google and AWS, where safety is enforced internally by proprietary models like the user alignment critic. That's the cathedral.
So the question for you, the listener, is this. In this new protocol war, which approach, the open bazaar or the closed cathedral, will ultimately prove more resilient, more innovative, and most importantly, more trustworthy?
Something to mull over until our next deep dive.